Welcome to the most forward-thinking, inspirational podcast in this reality. The show designed to challenge everything we've been taught. If you've ever felt there had to be more to life, more to existence, then you're listening to the right podcast. Time to open your mind and dive in. This is the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast.
And here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Today is an impromptu episode, yes, a surprise episode for everybody who loves to listen to the show. Today, for the, I want to say, 6th year in a row since we've been doing the show, it happens to be my father's birthday. But what you don't know, because I didn't put it in the title because it's a surprise for everybody, is for the first time in 349 episodes, I'm joined by my sister. Hello, Samantha.
Hello.
So just so you know, you're talking to about 5,000 people right now. If you've got anything nice to say it well. So yeah, Dad's birthday. We normally every year I do a little bit of a spot on here where I give him a nod and I say thank you and just sort of how he would have kind of loved where the world's going. Like not where the world's going per se, but where technology is going. You know, he was definitely, I want to say ahead of his time. You know, some might call him lazy. I want to say ahead of his time. This guy had some sort of a vision for what was coming, and we're kind of sitting in it right now. Like, what's your take? Like, if Dad was alive today and still young, like relatively in his prime, with all the gear that we have, what do you think he'd be up to?
That's a great question. He was designing programs and he was really interested in computers way back in like 96.
Yeah.
He was doing emails before both of us were.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being in university and him showing up at my dorm room with a computer and a printer, and he had to show me how to do everything. So he definitely was ahead of his time. What would he be doing today? Who knows? Probably trying to sell a business online that he created.
Yeah.
That was definitely in his entrepreneurial, sphere. But I like to think, today he would be 78.
So yeah, the today version of Dad. I think he'd be playing with your daughter.
Yeah, I think he'd be making jokes and saying, "Pull my finger." That was one of his favorites.
Except he wouldn't be farting. He'd be shitting his diaper right now, yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? Our mom is, only 2 years younger, and you would never guess she was 76. So
yeah, no.
Hopefully, I'd like to think that he'd be active as well.
I think, too, in the generations, I just saw a clip that said, as of today, Jerry Seinfeld is older than so-and-so who played the character Nana on his show. Which is funny because that woman she looked like she was 105. And like, to me, there's a huge difference between a 70-year-old 30 years ago and a 70-year-old today. Like a 70-year-old today just looks like your standard 50-year-old for the most part. I don't know what that's attributed to. If it's style, if it's movement. But yeah, I think Dad would be, I'd like to think he would have quit smoking, and I'd like to think that he would have, been a little bit more athletic or move a little bit so that he was, at least comical and I don't know, relatively jovial. I've got so many fond memories of him though, and obviously, you're when you have a parent, when you lose a parent, not everybody's lost a parent, but a ton of people have lost one, lost two, and I'd like to think, just all the times that we fought and all the times that we did dumb shit, and you think, when you're looking back on it, you are limited to the time that you have here. And it's not so much, and I always say this isn't an all call to be like, hey, treat your parents better. It's more of a, be hyper aware of who and where you are in the moment that you're in it, because in the blink of an eye, it can be taken. And why would you waste any time at all fighting anyone? When man, your life is cut short. We lost him at 60 years old, and he was an old 60, but he it's still way too young. It's still way too young. Like you and I were talking about the mystics before, and how I've had 3 specific mystics tell me I'm good till 93, specifically 93. And you can hear people hear that and go, oh, well, what does that mean you're just going to give up now because you know you're good till 93? And I think no. I think it's more of a if they've told me this, and if the 3 of them specifically use the word 93, I think it's one of those things where I should live up to it, and maybe I should change my diet a bit, change my exercise a bit, and just sort of want to be a little bit healthier for those later years, the years that we don't think about. I mean, you have a daughter now, and it would be atrocious if you left early. We're grown adults now. We can handle it. We also came from the walk it off generation. But I think about these moments, and I think, how great would it be if Dad could have been here, for you with just some subtle changes. He would have been here. And at the same time, I don't know if I'm, upset that he's gone. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, life is exactly what it is. And for us to waste any energy other than appreciation for the moments that we had and for the things that we experienced, is that hindering us as well? Anyway, do you have any fun stories that you might want to talk about?
Fun stories from growing up with him?
Yeah.
Yeah, there were so many. I think, I know that he taught us to live, in the moment and to have fun and not worry so much, There's so many.
There's a lot to be said. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I really put my sister on the spot here. I called her 10 seconds before we went live. She's never done this before, so bear with us all. But he did say that. He did say things like, believe in yourself, trust yourself, back when, we were getting bullied, or when the world around us was rough and tough, and we didn't fully understand as young kids. The world is pretty rough, especially kids. Kids are dicks. And I always remember him being, a nice, kind voice, a voice of reason, a voice of, you can do anything. He was the first person in my life that ever told me that I could do anything. And it's weird that we have to hear that and think that and be like, oh, I have to work that into my system. Considering
I think that he gave me most of my best parenting tools. He never did meet, his granddaughter, but I have told her so many things that he used to tell me. So, in those moments where she's in grade 6 now, and when she's having stress at school with friends and whatnot, I always give her advice that Dad would give me. When I was young, he would say, people accuse others of what they're most guilty of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And when girls are behaving a certain way, I can use that to my advantage to teach her lessons that he taught me. He would say what you mean and mean what you say. Don't just speak for speaking. Don't just open your mouth. Maybe listen a little bit more, and always look inside to say, hey, have I done something wrong? Could I have done something to upset this person? And if you analyze everything and come out with, yes, I have, or no, I haven't, then you can pick a direction to move towards. And he used to speak to me, and he used to use words that were big words when I was younger. And he spoke to me more like an adult relationship, which help me to rationalize things in my mind and to guide my behavior. So I'm trying to do that with my daughter. Of course, she's still young, but I know that I'll move forward in the way that he did with me, which was so helpful.
Yeah, it's we were just talking about this the other day, and I said to myself, I gotta ask Sam, have you ever told Eve that you have you done the reverse parenting thing where now you're saying the lines? Have you ever told her that you had to go to school uphill both ways in the snow with no shoes?
Yeah, that was one of his favorites, but that was how he used humor in difficult moments with us, for sure. No, but I do speak to my daughter about my dad and what he was like. And, we had 2 opposing parents. We had, the A-type, the high achiever, someone who, outward appearances meant a lot, but I only mean that in the sense that, if you are feeling down, then you dress up, for women, you do your hair, you put your makeup on, and you put on a brave face, even if you don't feel it.
Mm-hmm.
For, the other days, yeah, you let yourself relax. But when I say opposing parents, one was this way and the other one, preferred to stay home and, theorize about things and be logical in different ways. And I think that even though our childhood was difficult going between two homes, we really had the best of both worlds. We were very fortunate to have two totally different types of parents.
Well, the interesting thing on that note as well is the two different types of parents forged an ideology inside your head. You're quite a few years older than me.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right. But we, for the most part, in all the conflict and everything that we go through growing up, we had each other. So
Right.
one of the cool things was, they had their opinions and their styles and their way of doing things. And we saw Dad, we saw Mom do their thing. And then I had the opportunity of seeing your wisdom, how you amalgamated both of their ideologies. And I had the luxury of actually having three older people that I respect. And jokes aside, she's not that much older than me, but she, at the time, 3 years is a big enough difference when you're a kid to admire your older sibling and to be like, okay, well, Mom says this, Dad says this, and Sam thinks this. So now I've got a fourth thought that is all three of them combined. And it created an interesting set of circumstances, I suppose, inside my own brain. So, there's definitely something to be said about the family unit, how we go, how things go, even to the tune of his passing at such a young age made us, I would say, grow up faster or take on more responsibility or do more things. Basically just get slapped in the face with life a little bit earlier than maybe we wanted to, like this kind of life. I mean, we were young adults when he passed, 27 and 30 respectively, but it's hard to believe that was 18 years ago. And, who have we done? Christy had asked me, if I still think of him or how I feel about missing him. And my relationship with him was different than yours. And I do miss him, but I also see him in everything. Like I see him in what I'm doing here. Like I think in this day and age, if he was around today, I think he would be doing something similar to what I'm doing. I think maybe I'm, to a degree honoring his essentially forward-thinking mentality. But I could certainly see him with a podcast or an opinion. The guy had more opinions than Carter had shoes. I don't know what the term is, but I don't know. I think in the grand scheme of things that everything sort of happens for a reason. And when Christy asked me that, I thought to myself, I don't miss him that much simply because he's everywhere. He's influenced in the car that I drive. And hearing the stories that you're talking about, you and I have never really even talked about it overly, but his teaching skills, his parental teaching skills, which weren't always the greatest at all times, you got to cherry pick that. And you got to hand to your daughter, I want to say kind of the right way. And of course, every single child and parent has their own version of what is what. But being able to sort of be on the sidelines and watching you raise your daughter as the uncle, I see so much Dad in you, in your facial expressions, in your mannerisms. There's so much of him that still resonates in and within this particular ethos that it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see that. I mean, I look at her and because you've got certain facial mannerisms, quirks and funny faces that you make, I see her making them because she's been watching you do it. And so when I see her making those faces, I see Dad. I see Dad in her eyes a lot of the time. She doesn't even realize that so much of his character is also inside her, which to me, as the younger brother / uncle, is it's heartwarming. Like I just look at her and I'm just like, wow. It's funny how that energy transpires. That girl I don't think she has any idea how lucky she truly is, and maybe won't for a few years. That's for sure.
Yeah. To your point about seeing Dad in her, I see it too. And that's why I like it when you're with her, spending time with her and joking with her in the ways that he did. Because we all need a lot more humor in this world.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Some people take themselves so seriously. He used to say to me, stop taking yourself so seriously. And, as a 14, 15-year-old, I was like, what is he saying to me? She's at that stage where she's going through a lot of sort of high drama and trying to figure out how to allow people either to speak to her or behave with her in her friendships. And a lot of his teachings definitely help. And to your point about how he's influenced you, I mean, you have no idea how much you are like him.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I have a little bit of an idea. Yeah.
Okay. Because if anyone saw a picture of, even him at age 5 or 6 and you can't tell the difference. And it's just, you've grown more into him in so many ways, but also separate from him in so many ways where, he was some of the negatives, he was difficult to deal with when he was frustrated. Instead of talking through things, he would turn to anger. And it was difficult, I'm sure, as a parent to have 2 kids who challenged him. I never lived with him beyond the age of 7. You lived with him from 14 to off and on, maybe 20, 25, 26. And so your relationships were different. It was easier for him and I to be friends and to have a different type of parent relationship. I would only come to him when I needed a little bit of parental advice, but his guidance was always welcome. And for you, a son-father relationship, it's sometimes more strained because, you're busy growing into a man and what it is you want or what you want to do. And you don't always want to seek your father's guidance on things, but he sure wanted to provide it. So, he was a strong character and so are you. And, we definitely were lucky to have him for the time we did. I think that you're right. Things do happen for a reason, and it was his time too soon. But ultimately, do I think he would have stopped smoking? No. Do I think he would have changed his eating habits? No. He would have been lucky if he'd lived longer. But truthfully, today I'm approaching 50 and my husband is 50 and we have friends who are very ill or have passed away at 50 for poor choices that they're making. So sometimes it's just a crapshoot. Sometimes we all do the same thing and somebody gets a different result. I think, truly, I think our time is limited on Earth. I think when you come here, you do have a predetermined time, and it's what you do with it that maybe alters it a little bit. But life is lived one day at a time. So whatever you do today can hopefully get you to a better spot tomorrow. So that's the choice that you make. We all have choices. We all can take control of our own lives. I wish Dad had maybe done that sooner. There was a lot of head in the sand sort of behavior, and also the way he grew up in England was totally different, and their ways of viewing things were very, very different as well. So I don't know, just be happy, like you said. Don't be negative. Don't treat people badly, and just try and be positive and be happy in life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You and I could talk for hours, obviously, on this topic, but I know that you're under a tight schedule. And listening to you talk there, like just dropping that little piece of knowledge, it's amazing. You've got a career as a coach when you decide to retire from the corporate world. Absolutely. But you've got so much wisdom in you too. And it's not, I don't think it's by accident that you and I are relatively running a similar style where we wake up in the morning and the main objective is to help people and solve problems. And did that come from Dad? Maybe. I mean, you're talking about stuff here that I'd even forgotten, sort of the things that he had said, and that's all true. And maybe that's the beginning of where my my esotericness came from was his opinion. And then who knows sort of how it branches out. But yeah, you and I have a lot of similarities too. And that's one of the coolest things, because people talk about, oh, you don't look like either of your parents, or you don't look like your mom. Well, we look like each other. And that's life. Like life is, I couldn't agree with you more. You've got a clock, and in here you either punch it out when you're ready to go, but you wake up every morning. What was that meme, Snoopy? You only, you die once, you live once, whatever the hell it was. He goes, no, you live every day, you die once, type of thing. It's like YOLO, whatever. You're every single day that you wake up is an opportunity to do something.
Yeah.
If you're a smoker, every single cigarette you have is an opportunity to never smoke again. And this is one of those things where, again, we could go on for hours and hours and hours, but at the end of the day, He was a great dude. He had 2 fantastic kids. Talking to you right now, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, I'm happy to be his son. Hard to believe that 18 years is gone. And I'll be talking about this again this time next year. Maybe you'll be back.
Maybe.
Well, that was fun. Great to have you on.
Thank you.
Is there anything that you want to say to anybody that's listening right now? You don't have to say anything if you don't want to.
Just make good choices and be happy, and don't take yourself so seriously. Look around and recognize all the amazing things you've done with your life, and just be proud of yourself.
I couldn't have said it better. Absolutely impeccable. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Father's Birthday episode. Thank you very much. In the infamous words of Red Green, keep your stick on the ice.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Stay connected with us directly through the mentalmasteryalliance.com. You can also join the discussion on Instagram at instagram.com/the Mental Mastery Alliance. Let the team know you're listening by using the hashtag TMMA or tagging us at the Mental Mastery Alliance. To have your voice heard on the show, leave a voicemail or send a text to 647-338-1265. Long distance charges may apply. If you love us, leave us a review. If you hate us, you spend your time in weird ways, but also leave a review. Every review on iTunes tickles the algorithm, helping us grow. Until next time, unity over division. This concludes the most surreal portion of your day.
You got it, Pontiac.